Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjanaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjanaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjanaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijacharya, Astoru Shishimata's Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijacharya, Astoru Shishimata's Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Anandi Godi Vaishnava Vranda Ki. Nam Acharya Salidas Thakur Ki. Prem Sakaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakta Vranda Ki. Sisi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki. Vrindavan Navadip Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi Ki. Samaveta Bhakta Vranda Ki. Nitago Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Yeah. I don't know if we have to hear them or we're going to have a... Should we have the class or should they... We should have the class. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's wait. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. be speaking on the Siksastakam, the 8 verses left by Lord Chaitanya. Well, some of the verses have been done, and we will, I thought of just reading from the 4th one or so. Yeah, okay, here's the 4th one. The 4th verse, Nadanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagirisha kamaye mama janmani janminishvare bhavatid bhaktir ahituki tvayi. Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful men, but beautiful women, I mean. Nor desire beautiful women, nor any number of followers. So this is very interesting. I don't want all these things. But what should we want? Causeless devotional service, birth after birth. So this verse, from Shraddha to Prema, like the first verse is on Shraddha, and the next verse run up to like Shraddha, Ado Shraddha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivriti. So after Anartha Nivriti come Nishta, which is the 3rd verse, which is the humility verse, where one can chant constantly. Now we're moving on to the 4th verse, which is on the level of ruchi, taste. So this verse is going to be speaking about taste in Krishna consciousness and how to develop that taste, and what are the obstacles to that not having the taste, and what are the obstacles, some of the obstacles or the impediments that doesn't allow you to taste the sweetness of Krishna consciousness. Have you thought about it? Sometimes I'm chanting, I'm thinking, what is it this is holding me back? I'm not feeling the way I'm supposed to be feeling, in a blissful. And then I start walking around Tulsi Devi and chanting more. So what are some of the obstacles you experience, that you don't feel that taste? Because ruchi actually quickly produces an addiction to the activities of bhakti. Taste. How do you feel when you chant Hare Krishna? Not all the time blissful, sometimes, but sometimes you're waiting for to pull this beads down, 16 rounds. Sometimes challenging. So on ruchi, there are 2 different levels of ruchi, taste. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur give a very beautiful example of how sometimes you may be, attached to kirtan. If you're attached to kirtan, but your attachment is dependent on the elements, meaning how you play the mridanga, how you play the kartals. Otherwise, that attraction is not there, because you sometimes can walk out of a kirtan also. That also happens, isn't it? You feel somebody is singing and you don't like to hear them. Yes. Depending on, like, if you're doing deity worship, then you kind of concerned about the environment and the ornaments and so many different things. So it's dependent. So that itself is like a slight impurity in the heart. That, according to how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur looks at it. It's an interesting way of looking at it. Because, I don't know, personally for myself, I'd actually never follow a musician. I mean, even if somebody is playing the wrong beat, it doesn't affect me. So I'm not following them. I'm just singing. I'm just chanting Hare Krishna. So it's also difficult to do that, like especially if you're like musically minded. But it's a level of an impurity in the heart. But then again, if somebody is advanced enough, they appreciate also. It's not that they don't appreciate. They appreciate somebody's performances if it's excellently done. And having all the elements. Like I was in India, and one devotee, he's a great musician, and he sings beautifully, and that one night he just couldn't get it because he didn't have the kartal player. So he's trying to teach them to play kartals to one person who really couldn't do it, and he couldn't just enter into that mood of ecstasy the way he wanted it to be. Well, there was other factors to it also, but anyway, that was one of them. But in doing all this, there can be, and this verse talks about that you don't want a following. So one must be very careful in Krishna consciousness to perform. Your performance must be for the pleasure of Krishna. But if you perform well to get a following, and you will get a following, but it will be detrimental to your spiritual life. So then you wouldn't advance. And here in this purport, this verse has got commentaries by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says that it is imperative that in the very beginning the sincere sadhaka attentively hear his guru chanting the holy name, and thereafter himself chant the holy name free from all nam aparad. The process of chanting guarantee that the four qualities described in the previous sloka will gradually blossom in the heart. And what are the four qualities that was speaking in the previous verse, the third verse? More humble than a blade of grass, tolerant than a tree. What else? Free from false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. Those four qualities must develop. This is, you can speak so long. There's so many things to speak about, just on this one point. But the danger is to look for a following. It's quite dangerous. And in many ways you can do it. I've been a practitioner for a while. I know I can almost say when you're doing it also. I can pick it up. It's not difficult. But it's very subtle that we may want a following. So these are all detrimental. So it says, I do not desire a beautiful woman, wife. It's slightly differently put in this translation. But then your taste, your ruchi is affected. So that is a point to consider. There's many points actually. It's talking about the practitioner's attachment to sensual pleasure must also be severed. As you advance spiritually, then you give up attachment to sensual pleasure. Like when we tell people no illicit sex, and they, oh my God, this is something too much for us. And sometimes you try to avoid telling people that also, isn't it? But slowly, because to enter the spiritual world, that's one of the things that we have to become free from it here before we enter there. It takes time, but it's possible. There's so much of things to talk on this particular verse, but I think we could move on the other verses, or maybe one or two more things. Oh yeah, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Bhajana Rahasya, there's some evidences, and he quote the Bhagavatam, the first canto, Tasmade Eka Samanasa, that verse, Bhagavan Sadvatam Pati. Sotavya Kirtavyascha Dhyeya Pujascha Nityada. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should hear, glorify, and remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. With one pointed attention. Just one pointed, this is what I'm going to be doing. So that's how, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting this under this particular purport, verse itself. And there are many other points, but we won't discuss. We will, this is from the 11th canto. It's very beautiful. This is the verse from the 11th canto which speaks about the experience of devotion, and the comparison is made with somebody who is like hungry. And when a person is hungry, and when he takes in food, he feels pleasure and nourishment, and that gives him relief from hunger. And the way it's quoted in that verse, direct devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment of material things, all three occur simultaneously in one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously. So naturally, all these things happen. You get free from this material attachments, especially like with the most subtle ones, name, fame, following, and those ones. And we have to work at it. So we'll move on to the next one. Ayinanda tanuja kinkaram padita mam visame bhavam buddho kripaya java pada pankaja stiti duli sadasam vichintaya. So this verse is talking about, it's on the level of after Ruchi comes Ashakti. So this verse is dealing with that subject matter, how attached one is. And we can measure our attachment where the translation that we got, there are different translations. Over the years we had so many different translations. O son of Marananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow they are fallen to this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So this is attachment, Ashakti. So we were discussing taste, the previous text on the previous text was discussing about taste. But this is attachment. Like Ruchi mainly has bhajan, like devotional service as its subject. But Ashakti, there's a difference between these two verses, has mainly the Lord as the object of bhajan. So Ruchi is like the immature stage of attachment. When one has taste, you can chant for hours. Just chant Hare Krishna for hours. So one has taste. But Ashakti is considered the mature stage of attachment. It's a more mature stage. So we have to come to that more mature stage. Because the heart, the purification is such at this stage, at this level, where there are like reflections of the Lord. One can see the Lord. He becomes almost visible. So at this stage of Ashakti. So when you're reading this verse, you have to look at it like that. That when you're placed as one of the atoms at the lotus feet of the Lord, meaning that you have come very close already. Still there's some time to go, but you have some reflections. It's interesting how that happens, when somebody is on the level of a Shakti. And there were devotees, who, Bhakti Bhagavad Maharaj wrote a book on a devotee, Kamala Manjari, who was a devotee from Mauritius, and I met her in America. She was just such a wonderful devotee, but had all these exchanges and experiences. Yeah. So then, there's so many things to say, but okay, let's see what I could speak of. Yeah. The thing is, in the commentary given, it says that I've now fallen in this terrible ocean of material existence. Lust, greed, anger, and envy are my adversaries, waiting in the waters like big fish to swallow me up. The boisterous waves of wasted hopes and anxieties are tossing me here and then, making my life miserable. Lashing gales of bad association add further suffering in this condition. So we suffer in this material world, and there's a lot of pain. But coming to this level, this is quite a high level, Ashakti. I don't know, you had any situation where you kind of like almost feeling that you could see the Lord, and just there's a slight reflection of the Lord. And it's something that we must aspire for, that someday. Or just hear that ankle bell, or the sound of the Krishna's flute. It'll mean so much, But crossing over the nations, crossing over this place, and taking shelter of Krishna, that'll really depend on the holy name and the spiritual master and the holy name, and how you cross this world and go to the other world and experience that pleasure. And it takes time, as I was saying, that so you don't expect to have it overnight, these kind of realization, but it takes time. And sometime in this life we may not be able to even come to that point, but there's still no loss in the whole thing. There's no loss. Any questions so far on what we just spoke? I think we have to rush to the other ones. This is interesting. I'll just read this verse by Rupa Goswami, which is there's so many points here, but anyway, on Rupa Goswami's verse, he's saying, if you have not worshipped the dust of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, or the land of Vraja that is marked with the lotus feet, or have not served the lotus feet of her devotees who become profound by meditating upon her, how can you become attracted to that blackish ocean of nectar known as Sham Krishna? So there are various verses, that are very, very interesting also. Okay, we'll do 6. We just have a few. We'll do 6. Nayanam galad asudavaya vadanam garagada rudaya gira pulakir nichitim vapu kada tabanama grane bhavisyate. So this is on the 6th text, which the translation, O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand at the end of the recitation of your name? When will that day be? When will you experience this? Because every morning we recite this. But you ever stop and think for a moment, do I really want to reach this? Do I really want to, one day come to this point? Or we just say it to just get rid of it, and we just say it in the morning. But no, we have to come to this level of bhava. This is considered to be bhava. And it's a topic on itself, bhava. When you experience this ecstatic symptoms, just like, when you come to the level of bhava, it's like the first ray of the sun. The sun hasn't appeared, but there's still brightness. But the first ray is considered like to be bhava. That's how the acharyas explain it. But the bhava has two characteristics. There are primary characteristics and a secondary characteristic. So the primary characteristic is when the internal potency, enters the heart of a jiva and then revives his dormant love for Krishna. It's a very detailed explanation, but if you're studying that nectar of instruction or something, you can read when it's very detailed how this takes place, how you reach this level of bhava. And then that's the primary, but the secondary characteristic is that it softens your heart. Now, if that doesn't take place, you won't experience this. Because you can't have a hard heart and experience these things. Therefore, when you're advancing in Krishna consciousness, the heart should be becoming softer. So then, with time, you'll reach this level of bhava. But you can make the way to know that you haven't reached that point is that you're not tearing when you're chanting. Because the heart is still steel framed. In the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, third verse, text number 24, talks about steel framed heart. Where the heart is steel framed. So we don't experience any of these symptoms. Isn't it? We may not be experiencing it. But, this whole process is you have to be absorbed completely in it, 24 hours a day, constant engagement. And the symptoms, there's many symptoms to bhava. There are like 9 symptoms given about how one doesn't waste time. It's described in this book, but it's slightly a little differently, where he's tolerant, he's humble, he doesn't waste any time, because he utilizes time properly. That is one of the very important characteristics or symptoms of bhava, when somebody is fully absorbed in what he's doing. So we have to work at that and see sometimes some of these things, we may be following some of them at some level, and you must have a strong attachment for hearing and speaking about Krishna. Both, you must be hearing and speaking. Serving is good, but serving means if you serve a lot, it should improve your hearing. If you're serving a lot and not hearing, then there's also something wrong. Because by service, you gain the affinity to hear. But you find people do lots of service, but they don't have that affinity to hear. Also. So it's supposed to increase your hearing. There are various symptoms. So here this verse is talking about when tears, when will the hairs of my body stand on end? When will I experience this ecstatic symptoms? And it's possible, but it takes time. So that's more or less, there's so many things to say about bhava, but we can come to that point in due course of time. and then you'll experience the symptoms. Some devotees had these symptoms, when they were chanting. We saw some devotees. They had this good experience of. Let's finish it quickly. Yeah. It talks about, like. It talks about the Ashtasattvika bhavs, and like how, like you have the physical elements, like you have earth, water, fire, air, ether. So then, like you may have emotions. So when you have a particular emotion in the heart, it strongly agitates and disturbs the life air. So when that happens, let's give just a brief explanation. When that life air is dislodged, it contacts and disturbs those physical elements. So when it disturbs like earth, then the person gets stunned. But when it disturbs like water, then you start tearing. When it's fire, then you have perspiration. So it's a very scientific process, and when it disturbs the air, then you have like hair standing up or faltering of the voice like that, or trembling. And the space then is devastation. So it's a very scientific process. And you can experience that. Sometimes we also like, on a material level, we cry. We all cried at some point, right? But how would you know if it's spiritual that you're crying? How would you know that? So you can put your finger below your eyelid, and if it's warm, you know it's material. And if it's cold, then you know it's spiritual. So it's very scientific, yeah. So this verse is considered to be at the level of bhava. So let's try to do the other two quickly, but this other two is such a detail. Okay. All right. Then the next one. Yugayitam nimasena chakshusha pravisayitam sunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virhename. So what does that mean? Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. And again, like tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. And I'm feeling all vacant, the world in your absence. So one feels one moment to be like 12 years. So this is considered to be, this is what our philosophy is, and this is a topic on its own, which I'll talk tomorrow in Peter Marad's book about Vipralamba Seva, or separation, feeling that intense separation. And here Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta give such nice commentaries, but we cannot go. It speaks about a little bit more detailed subject matter of vibhav, anubhav, but it goes above prema. He first speaks about the rasa, the relationships, and then he goes above that. He speaks about the 5 primary relationships, then the subsidiary relationships, or the principal rasas, and then the other rasas like laughter, chivalry, astonishment. He speaks about that, but then he goes on to explain in the purport how above prema, above love, which Bhatta Maharaj speaks sometimes or quite often about that, about after prema, sneha, man, rag, anurag, bhav, and he gives a description how intensely, how it just develops into coming to that point, to that highest point of Mahabhav. Because for somebody who has prema or pure love for God, then he can end Vaikuntha. But somebody who wants to go to Vrindavan or Goloka, he must have this deep attachment called Rag. And it said, it's very interestingly, very nicely said. I'll just quickly read it. It says, the superabundance of love that completely melts the heart to a state of unimaginable liquidity is known as sneha, which is indicated by profuse, unchecked tears. So it's profusely flowing. It is in this stage that the devotee is yearning to see Krishna. Yearning to see Krishna never admits fulfillment. So then from that it becomes more intense, then it becomes rag, and from rag it becomes anurag. And when anurag is fulfilled with unsurpassable and matchless munificence of love, reaching the plateau of madness, it is called Mahabhav. In this stage, even the blinking of an eyelid, veiling the view of the beloved for less than a moment, becomes intolerable. Just like the gopis were complaining that Brahma's creation, that they had eyelids. For that moment, they could not see Krishna. So therefore, it seems like 12 years or more. It seems such a long time. So it gives a very good description where it takes you to the point of separation, deep feelings of separation, Pipulamba. But we can talk about it more on some other occasion. Now this is the last one. There's two nice verses that Bhaktivinoda Thakur quote. I know I learned these verses a while ago, but I've kind of really couldn't remember too much about it. Amunya danyani dinatavani haritwadalokana mantarena anatbandhu karuneka sindhu nahanta katam nayami. This is from the Krishna Karnamrita. It's about Bilvamangal Thakur, very beautiful, about separation. O supreme shelter of the destitute Hari, you are an ocean of mercy. Alas, oh alas, without seeing your lovely face, how shall I live through those wretched days and nights? Very beautiful. And the other one is about Madhavendra Puri, where in the end of his life he is reciting this text, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes in his Bhajana Rahasya. And Sloka 8, the last one. Aslisyava padaratam pinasatu mam adarsana marma hatam karotu va yatatata va vidatu lampato mat prana natastusu eva na paraha. So in this one, I know no one but Krishna as my Lord. It's just purely Krishna. And the way he is treated, the person is not affected, even, roughly by his embrace, or broken-hearted, but is still surrendered to Krishna. So this is on the level of prema, this is on the level of love. And this is, and in the commentaries they speak about, just such a beautiful topic this is itself. But anyway, it speaks about, a lot about separation, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur also quotes from the Bhajana Rahasya, from his notes, on the two verses from the Gopi Gita, which talks about Chalasiyad Vraja Charayan Pasu Nalini Sundaram Natate Padam Silatrinan Kure Sidatitinaha Kalilatam Manaha Kantagachati. Very beautiful. And the other one he quotes is Atatiyad Bhavan Anikananam Tuti Yugayate Tvamapasyataham Kutila Kuntalam Sri Mukam Tate Jada Udiksatam Bhashmit Kritisaham. It says, dear master, dear lover, when you leave the village, I'll just paraphrase it, when he leaves the village to herd the cows, because Krishna's feet is soft, and when he goes to herd the cows, the cowherd girls are worried also because his feet is pricked by those husks of grain and the rough grass and the plants and the pebbles. And the next verse that we read, when he goes to forest during the day, the mere fraction of a second seems like a millennium to us because we cannot see you. And even when we are able to look eagerly upon your beautiful face, so lovely with its ornament of curly hair, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which are fashioned by the foolish creator. So they consider Brahma a foolish creator because they cannot see Krishna for that moment. So this is very beautiful, but we don't have time. I just took 10 minutes more. Just sorry that we just took a little bit more time. But to do this, thoroughly, it needs a couple of hours on each verse to explain it very thoroughly. But it's very, very beautiful. So separation in the end, and so much can be said on that topic. We'll talk about it tomorrow also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Thank you. Thank you for your association.
Kiva Jaya Jaya Gochande Aratika Shobha Jahana Vitatavane Jaga Manaloba Dakine Taichan Pamigadadara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasar Chatradara Osi Achagarachan Ratna Singhasane Karena Brahma Adi Devaka Gauri Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vashu Goshadigaya Shankar Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Shankar Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Koti Chandradini Vadana Ujvala Kala Deshe Vanamala Kore Jalamala Shiva Shukana Radha Premi Gada Gada Bhakati Vinada Dekhe Kara Rasampada Kashava Jaga Janamana Lava Goyangarati Kashava Jaga Janamana Lava Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Joy. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pravijacharya Story Shishimata's Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Anandi Gaudiya Vaishnavanda ki Naam Acharya Surdas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Navadip Dham ki Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi ki Samavaita Bhaktavrinda ki Itai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadadadai. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Shila Tankana Kala.